What's up, guys? So I hope this. I know it's poor lighting. I think this light is gonna come on in a minute. I just hope the audio isn't as bad as it used to be. Like I know it kind of like fades in and out, but anyway, my phone's charging. Don't feel like getting it. Just sitting out here. I'm on my laptop currently. This is a webcam recording and looking through the internet. I just saw a video. It's still opening a tab right here of a guy going door to door and paying people's rent for them. And I'm like, wow, that's extremely nice. I mean, he doesn't have to do that, obviously. And obviously, he's making a video of it, some type of entertainment he's probably going to profit from. I can't help but to think that it's such a shame that so many people live in a situation. I didn't actually watch the video yet. I was reading some comments, and they were talking about there's one lady that was a single mother who's self-employed, who has an autistic son. Uh, they're just comments kind of indicated there's a lot of people that really were happy that this guy came through and was offering to pay their rent. And I can't help but to understand economics to the point of understanding how certain people who are super rich and how they got rich, and understanding that a lot of people who are not rich, who are these type of people who are, barely scraping by, I can't help but to understand how all of that is an unnecessary situation. I can't help but to understand to like care about that, first of all, and secondarily, I've already thought about that, and I already understand that whole mechanism and system. I've already troubleshooted the whole problem. I already have solutions for how that can be fixed. And I just think it's such a shame that so many people live in situations like that. Like, I think it's so crucial that people not. Well, I think it's crucial that people understand economics, but like specifically, I would say study business models and then money. Understand money and the value of money. And that's why I made a YouTube channel talking about money. I try to discuss various mechanisms of it. It's not. I mean, if you're not gonna watch my videos, go do it on your own. Like, you know what I mean? Because it is such crucial information. Um, it's a totally different like view of the world when you understand business, when you understand money, when you understand economics, than it is when you don't. A lot of people, they just think, oh yeah, I'm gonna go and make an honest living, go do this hard labor job, get a paycheck, and then pay my bills. And like, they don't even think of like who like they just jump into that system without really analyzing the entire situation. Like, you don't have to be a hard labor worker. A lot of people know that. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think that's just what you do. You just go get a job. Oh, my dad was a mechanic. I'm gonna be a mechanic. My dad was a firefighter. I'm gonna be a firefighter. Like, I mean, that's cool if that's what you want to do. I actually like some jobs like that because they're exciting and fun and they're kind of fulfilling. I actually do like some of the jobs. Other jobs I've had, I have hated. I've hated other jobs. I worked for actually two of the biggest companies in America, and both of those I felt disrespected. I felt undervalued, and I felt like I was not getting paid what my time was worth. I felt like my time was worth a lot more, and even I felt like my potential was a lot more. And I said, yeah, this ain't it. You know what I mean? Now, a lot of people, they might like the job. Like, some people, they just have a routine and they go to work every day and they meet the same people, hang out with them, they go gossip. That's their thing. Okay, that's fine. guess this ain't for you, okay? This is for everybody else who hates their job like I hated my job. I hated that job. The last job I had, I'm not even gonna tell you what company it was. I came to understand why they have suicide nets in factories, sweatshops, whatever you want to call them, over in China. I understood that at that point. I was like, no crap, this makes me want to just jump off a balcony right here. Like, I felt so just drained of my energy. Let me tell you a story. Gosh, I want to name these companies, but I don't want to at the same time. About a year, almost a year and a half ago, went to a major company. Okay, it's a retail business, one of the biggest in America. You might be able to figure that one out with that uh, tidbit of information. I went there, and my job was to unload trucks, put them on carts, take the carts out to shelves, and stock the shelves. And I was making about $12.50 an hour. Now, that was actually right after they increased the pay rate. Before, there was like 9 something an hour. You had to be there for a year to get to like 10. I think I was making 12. Might have been making like 11 something. I don't even remember. 12, something like that. Okay, so this job was a laborious job. I remember my legs, like, because I wasn't used to standing that long, and I'm an athlete. Like, I used to play basketball in college, and I didn't finish college, or I wouldn't be working that job probably. But I'm a relatively fit guy. I could run miles up and down the court, freaking for hours. And this job, just like after the first week of just like being on my feet for like 8 hours a day, just like, and not really being allowed to sit, like literally, like you'll get like in trouble if you even like sit to rest for a minute. My legs were like, oh my gosh, they were just like these dead, just like dead weight. It felt like, and I remember that was after the first week, and then I'm looking around, and there's these people who are like at least like 65 of retirement age working that same job. And I'm like, my legs are freaking dead. And I look at a lot of them, and a lot of them have like weird limps. They got like looking like they got back problems. And I'm like, holy crap, dude. Like, if I'm dying doing this, I'm a relatively young, fit guy. Like, oh my God, I felt so bad for these people. And the thing is, it's like, I know they would not be working that job unless that's not something they're enjoying. I can tell it's not something they're enjoying. It's not like you go to your office and you do a little like easy job that really takes like 50% of your attention. Some people just like those routine jobs. Like, they don't want to retire. That job I had was not one of those. Job I had was literally almost like slave labor, because if you sat down for a second, here comes a manager. Hey, get up, get up. You know what I mean? It's literally like slave labor. And these people, like the older folks, those older folks, for instance, I guarantee you they would not have that job unless they needed that money. And the fact that they needed that money tells me that they're probably afraid to lose that job, because maybe if they lose that job and don't got the money, they're not going to pay rent. They're going to be kicked out of their house. You know what I mean? They're going to be living on the streets. The whole life is going to fall apart. And so if you dare sit down, you risk losing your job. You risk your whole life falling apart. And here comes the slave drivers. And I remember when I was working that job, I literally, would, like, the freaking managers, that's all they were slave drivers. They just walked around and just like, get back to work. I was like, oh my God, like, it was so ridiculous. And so yeah, man, the older folks, like, they're in a desperate situation where they're afraid if they lose that job, it's like their whole life's gonna fall apart. And thus, they'll do it because they don't know anything else. And it's literally slavery. It is literally, it's not exactly slavery. It's not like you're owned or anything, but the economic conditions that have been created, that have kind of created these tiers in, net worth, whatever. it's a situation where people are afraid to lose their jobs. They're afraid if they don't do their job, their whole life's gonna fall apart. It's just a different type of punishment. It's not a whip. It's like if you don't get up, you're gonna lose your job and lose your house and lose everything. Okay, so there is opportunity to do other stuff. Okay, but a lot of people don't get that. And even if there is opportunity for you to do other things, the way the economic situation is set up, there's not opportunity for everybody to be, let's say, millionaires. That's an impossibility in this world. It's just not how it's set up. And with that, you can just analyze the overall economic situation and understand that there is I guess, a dispersion of resource. You can say wealth, you can say money, and there's kind of what I call a like a monetary food chain. You know, people at the bottom they have less. People at the top, you know, they got plenty. And then, but that really leads to a tariff. What was it called? Stratified situation with resource availability. And like people at the bottom, they are like working the hardest, and they're like fighting for crumbs. You know what I mean? People at the top, they have these situations, these scenarios, these businesses, whatever, and a lot of them got that way because they understand economics, they understand a lot of stuff, and they took advantage of various systems and built themselves a bit. It's not always like that, but that's the case sometimes. But either way, there's a stratified situation where people at the bottom are fighting over crumbs, and all these people at the top have all this money, and with that money, they can buy a lot of resource, including human resource. Okay, so what you have is the people at the top with a whole bunch of money, which can afford them a lot of resource, including human resource, and the people at the bottom who are literally working for those people. So instead of these broke, tired, beat up, just people who are like damn near death, literally, like I said, it's almost slavery. People are like, like their legs are freaking literally like giving way, like their bodies are being broken because they're afraid they'll lose their jobs if they sit down or something. They can't even recover. They can't take a day off. It's slavery. They're literally physically grinding themselves into the ground. Okay, so those people, instead of working really kind of for themselves, putting their own resource, including human resource, toward building systems for themselves, whatever, they end up working for these rich people. And these rich people, they have all the money, like I said. And the money, what that really means, having money means you can afford resource, okay, including human resource. You can afford the services of people. So all of that resource, instead of being evenly dispersed between everybody, all of it, most of it, is going toward these super rich people. And instead of people working for themselves, helping each other maybe in the community, having a nice, well balanced economy, everybody is working for these super rich people. They're really working for the dollar. Let's say you get paid $15 an hour. If somebody has $15 billion, that's a billion hours of your service. You know what I mean? Like, and do the math. Like, that's insane. How many people for their entire lives could that person have serving them with $15 billion if you get paid $15 an hour? You see what I'm saying? You just have to understand. I think that's key right there, is understanding money, understanding that having money means you have resource available, because pretty much everything has a price, in the economy. Not everything, but that's what money affords you, is resource, including human resource. And all these people with all the money, these crazy amounts of money, have all of this resource going toward their, excessive lives of luxury, while all these other people are literally dying working for them. It's literally like slavery. It's literally like having a king, and just like bowing down to his feet and kissing his feet, and like while you're like dying. It's literally like slavery. It's literally like slavery, dude. Like, I remember when I was working that job, I was afraid to sit down. And I was like, dude, and I quit after a while. I said, screw this. Like, I don't care. Like, no, like, for so many reasons. And a lot of those people, man, They're just in the situation where they're so afraid if they lose that job, their whole life's just gonna fall apart. And so they'll beat themselves to make sure they don't lose that job. They say, I'm not gonna sit down. I'll fight through the pain. My legs feel like they're gonna fall off. I don't care. Fight through the pain. And dude, they're literally like killing themselves, injuring themselves. You can see it. You can see the wear and tear on their bodies, dude. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And it's so terrible. So that video that I saw on YouTube, you see this guy going out, and one way or another, he got his hands on enough money to be able to go door to door and pay people's rent for them. But a lot of those people, and I know there's so many people like that, they're in this situation that's basically slavery. And it's ridiculous, dude. That system is not like some people want to say stuff like, "Oh, well, they worked. Those billionaires work for what they have." That is not how it works. I can give you a quick example how to become a landlord, and you can scale this in 100 different ways. How to become a landlord? You go to a bank. You have to have a certain amount of money, get as a down payment for a loan. Okay, about 20% is what's usual. You put down 20%. Let's say you're trying to buy a property for $1 million. If you have 200,000, that's 20% down payment. They'll give you 800,000. You can go buy a property for $1 million. Let's say it's an apartment complex or something. And you basically have a mortgage. You have a rate of what you're supposed to pay the bank back every month. And if the rent from all of the tenants of your apartment complex is more than that amount that you're supposed to pay back every month, you're going to be able to pay that back and then have money on top. And so you're getting what they call cash flow out of the whole situation. You see what I'm saying? And they're literally, the tenants of your apartments are literally buying the property for you. You got the loan from the bank, and these people are all going to work doing their hard labor jobs and coming back and handing the money to you, put it in your hand, you're giving it to the bank. They are literally buying the apartments for you. And then you can have money on top. Because I highly doubt it's going to break even. And people are not going to buy things that, don't have a return. So, of course, you can buy an apartment complex where the rent does cover the loan. And then some. You're going to have what they call cash flow. You're going to be sitting on your fat, lazy bum while these other people are going to work, working their hard labor jobs. And, just allowing those people to come bring you money to buy you an apartment complex. And then some. And that's just one example. The same thing with a giant business. Maybe you can go, if you can get a big enough loan, get your hands on some money, a down payment, you get another big loan, buy a business. You can buy a restaurant that's already up and running and profitable. I was just looking at them the other day. I saw a franchise that's for sale, and literally all you have to do, you can buy it and it'll pay for itself. You just have to manage it for about, I think we did the math, it was about 6 months. If we just manage that restaurant for about 6 months, take it out of that guy's hands and manage it, keep it running as it was going with the amount of money it was bringing in, it would have paid for itself in 6 months. And I'm telling you, that's how this stuff works. See, people don't understand banks. They don't understand money, the monetary system, the banking system. Hopefully I'm explaining a little bit. This type of stuff I talk about. And if you understand the value of things, if you understand stocks, like if you understand overall inflation and deflation cycles and how that can lead to, a stock market crash and stuff like that, and then you understand how people take advantage of those crashes. They wait for the price of everything to go down, and they can get their hands on giant loans, or maybe they already have enough wealth to just go buy things at like super low prices when the economy crashes, okay, and then wait for it to go back up and sell it and make a huge profit. You have to understand these cycles. You have to understand how the monetary system works, how the value of money changes based on supply and demand. The supply is controlled by central banks. The demand for it can vary with various factors. And that leads to a whole bunch of other stuff. And then there's different values of currencies, relative to each other in different countries. This and that. There's so much going on with that stuff, and that's why I try to explain this stuff, the economics. It has everything to do with these broke people who this guy went door to door trying to, help out, pay the freaking rent for. man, I'm just so sick of it. I'm so sick of indentured servitude. I'm so sick of people not getting it. I just think it's so stupid. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I want y'all to understand. Like everybody's getting played. I'm so sick of when people say, "Oh, well, those people work for what they have." Maybe they did, but guess what? There are a lot of loopholes, and I'm aware of a lot of them, and I'm probably gonna take advantage of a lot of them because I don't want to be a slave. You know what I mean? I hated that last job. I literally came to understand why I have suicide nets at the freaking Chinese sweatshops, dude. I was like, this place sucks. Um, so yeah, I'm aware of a lot of I have a general financial education now because first thing I learned was actually how the monetary system was messed up, the banking system, and fractional reserve banking is messed up. And I was like, yeah, that's fraud, basically. That's not right. And I learned about that, and slowly but surely, I learned about investing and this and that. And I'm just kind of trying to share that general knowledge with people. I mean, the thing is, unless you feel compelled to learn, you're not gonna learn. You know what I'm saying? Like, it took me like going to a job that I hated. Like first I was trying to just get by with little money. I said I just won't be a slave in this system, and then I try to be like a minimalist and this and that. But I'm like, okay, well, I'm hungry, like whatever it might be. And then I needed money, so I said, okay, I guess I'll go work for a little bit, but f the man, f the man. I'm just doing this because I got to. I'm just only for a little while, and life demands, you gotta make a living. You gotta do what you gotta do. We don't live, some people have homesteads where they farm and do everything for themselves, but otherwise we live in an economy. So you gotta do what you do, get some money so you can buy the things you need to survive. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Everybody's gonna be working, so you might as well figure out how to make money in a smart way instead of being an indentured servant. It's just so. I mean, that's how I came to learn about it. I mean, I think if I didn't say F the man a long time ago, that I would have, you know, figured this out a lot sooner. You know what I mean? It wasn't until, what did it say? It said the necessity is the mother of invention. Okay, well, the necessity, how do I say it? I'm a lazy guy, and I hated doing those other jobs. I said, I don't like this. There has to be a better way. So I said, let's go read some books from some billionaires. How do they get rich? Let's read how to get rich. Google it. How to get rich. How do rich people get rich? Google it. Google it. I'm telling you. You will learn stuff. And hopefully my stuff that I'm teaching is helpful in that whole thing. I have no gimmick in saying this, dude. I resent the entire system of slavery that exists today. I want to see that change. That is my mission. That's my goal. It's my hope. It's my dream. That's my desire. That's what I want to see happen. Because I don't like seeing people that I love and care about, anybody. I don't like seeing anybody suffer. You know what I mean? And this indentured servitude is crap, dude. It is crap. And until people understand how it's all working, everybody's going to keep getting taken advantage of. You're going to, so go learn. Google it. How do rich people get rich? Everybody Google that. And see, that's the thing. I think one thing that keeps people from sharing this knowledge is they're afraid of competition. I think overall, like let's say a landlord. A landlord doesn't want to tell his tenants that, there's a better way to live. You know what I'm saying? Because they're the ones paying him. You know what I mean? I think overall, if and when everybody learns this stuff, the more people understand, the more they'll demand changes, and eventually, I think because of that, through that, natural force of like understanding, I think people eventually will demand change for like an entirely new, more fair system, and that's overall what I want to see. I'm not here really. I'm saying certain things. I'm teaching certain things, but I'm not doing this so you can, just take advantage of other people. You know what I mean? What I'm doing is I want to see a general education for everybody when it comes to, the whole economic system, everything like that. That way, people know what to demand. They know how they're being screwed over, and they know what changes to demand. I think overall, just that general education will lead to a higher, just a higher level of knowledge. I don't know, that's pretty redundant, but the more people understand the system, the more obvious, the corruption is, the more obvious the tricks and tactics and loopholes, this and that people take advantage of are, and basically the more obvious the exploits are, and the more obvious the problems are, because the exploits are what need to be fixed to create a more fair, stable, just system. It's very simple stuff, man. Like, once you understand, it's so simple. Like, economics is so simple, dude. Like, that's why I try to explain this stuff. I try to, like, it really is. It's almost like once it clicks and you understand it, it's just like, oh, like, it's almost just like you can just see it. Like, you can see, like, the motion of money. You can see, like simple business models. Like, you just see the machine of every individual company, but also the overall economy and everything. It's just, you can just see the workings. You understand it. Like, maybe if you're a car mechanic, you know how a car works. You don't have to be looking at the car right now, but you already know there's a engine, transmission, drivetrain, everything. You know what I mean? It's the same stuff. It's an economy. It's a machine. There's different parts, different moving parts. A business, different moving parts. So simple. And once you understand it, it's so simple, dude. It's all a giant machine. It's really simple, dude. It's really simple. I guess all I'm trying to do here is just see, that's the thing. Like, I can only, what they say, you can bring the horse to water, but you can't force him to drink. I can only do so much, as much as I try to tell people, as much as I say, watch my videos, you're gonna learn something good. As much as I say, Google, how do rich people get rich? That can be a life-changing thing, literally. But that's the thing. I'm not just trying to do this for, like, a couple people to then, become the same type of people that take advantage of everybody. I want to see the entire system change, which means I want to see an overall, increase in understanding as far as economic principles go. I think in the education system, that should be, primary education, finance, economics, business models, running a business 101, supply chains, that should all be, that is, like, primary, If you're going through school, so you're going to go through, what do they call it, grades 1 through 12, college, hopefully you get a good job to make money so you can live, The end goal of all of fucking education is supposed to be to make money. So if that's it, shouldn't we be learning about money? Shouldn't we be learning about, economy, da-da-da-da-da? Of course we should. And I really think in so many cases, a lot of people want to keep that knowledge to themselves so they can continue to take advantage of everybody. I'm just like, but the thing is, and I already know this, and I've learned this through my own experience, a lot of people don't listen. They don't care. You try to tell them, they could be, like, straight dying, and you'll try to be like, look, here's a better way. Like, they could be like some slave labor job, and you're like, look, like, you don't gotta do this, you can do this, And sometimes it might just be a lack of mental capacity, or they're just occupied or too tired to even take the time to try to figure it out, or whatever it might be. And I think that's part of it too. They keep people in a situation, indentured servitude, where they're all like, they don't even have free time to, like, break out of that and, like, explore other options, I was like, oh my gosh. It sickens me, the whole situation. There's so many things like that. There's so many things like that. I think about, how certain rich people, I was thinking about the diamond industry, like, all they do, they go to these other countries, like in Africa and stuff, and they get these locals to mine the diamonds and pay them, like, almost nothing. They just sit on their fat, lazy bums, get those locals to mine those diamonds, take the diamonds and sell them for, like, millions of dollars. And I heard they also create artificial shortages to, keep the price high. You know what I mean? So they probably have a surplus of diamonds, create an artificial shortage, get the prices up, and just piece by piece sell off their supply. And they just sit there on their fat bones for the rest of their lives, after getting the locals to mine that for them, just, they're taking advantage of, like, economic understanding. It is what it is, dude. And I mean, if people don't learn, people are going to continue to be taken advantage of. It's so primary to understand economics, business models, just to understand the machine, to understand how this whole thing works. It's so primary, dude. It's so primary. I can only I can only take the horse water. I can't force him to drink. And I've already tried for so long, and that's the thing I already know. A lot of people don't care. You can try to tell them, and they just do not care. You try to say, look, this I'm trying to tell you right now, it's super important. Go Google how do rich people get rich. It'll be a life changing experience. Go start reading like that. Learn from billionaires. Oh my gosh. But I want to see everybody do this. I don't want to see just a couple people who go and learn to be a billionaire and then start taking advantage of people just like the other people. It's really my goal with this is for people to go look into it, and then enough people eventually look into it and realize a lot of those billionaires are taking full advantage of a lot of loopholes in the system, whatever. And hopefully for people to eventually demand real changes, in the whole system. Indentured servitude is it's not where it's at. Anyway, that being said, I can go on, but I don't feel the need for it. So, gosh, man, like it's almost like unless you demand the change, it's not gonna occur. I think I heard like Bernie Sanders say something like that. See, Bernie Sanders, everybody calls him a socialist, stuff like that. And I think people got that confused too. You can look at a lot of programs with the government. Where do you think the highways come from? Is that socialism? Oh, they took our taxes and they took it and did what they wanted and they spent it on highways. That's socialism. I mean, that's just how governments work. But Bernie Sanders said unless people demand change, that's the only way change ever occur is by people like demanding it. I heard what they call the fight for 15 for a $15 minimum wage. Certain companies they're like, okay, I guess it's what our employees are demanding, so give it to them. They have unions where people collectively bargain. So unless people understand stuff, understand the problems, they don't even know what to ask for really. You know what I mean? If you understand the entire economic system, you can ask for certain economic reforms that will make a more fair and just system. That's what I'm trying to explain so that people know what to fight for, what to ask for. Instead of asking for $15 an hour, you can ask for, how about a system where billionaires can exploit it and freaking own everything? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things you can do. I've likened it to like, it's a giant machine, but it's kind of uncontrolled in a lot of ways, and there's ways you can change that and control it and cause positive effects in the economy. I liken it to like Godzilla coming out of the water and just being like reckless, and also has to do with our environment. It's reckless. It's a giant machine that's just like, tearing up the planet. It's a giant industrial machine. The economy, the world economy, and it's very destructive right now. And so for I guess for the planet as well as people not wanting to be slaves. People should understand economics. It seems like it's so obvious. Like I don't see this conversation being had enough. I guess I'm trying to change that. Economics, dude. People want to say stuff like it's a giant machine. If you learn how this machine works, it's almost like Godzilla, like almost like an animal that you then tame and train and get to be obedient. You can get it to do useful things. You can make it work the way you want it to. It doesn't have to be destructive. It can be useful. It can be controlled and kept in line in a way that is not destructive and is actually beautiful and elegant and useful. Really, it's that simple. And if people don't understand economics, how are we ever going to demand that? Even if I propose it and people don't understand it, how can I ever get people on board with making those changes? You know what I mean? Unless people understand economics, it's the same old crap that seems like it's gonna keep going and going and going. That sucks. That's stupid. That's stupid. That's just dumb. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to break down with my YouTube channel, and this is just the overview. This is just me ranting right now, but with my YouTube channel, I try to break down certain economic concepts to like very basic stuff, and it's more to do with the overall economy than it is with individual stuff. I could teach you how to trade stocks. I could teach you how to, finance a freaking apartment building, whatever. I could teach you stuff like that. It's simple. That's all simple. That's individual. It's not what I'm trying to talk about. What I'm trying to talk about is a collective situation with the economy. Other people try to do that. You have people that try to talk about stuff. I think there's also a lot of I think there's honest economists. I haven't really looked over too much of their work, but I do think there's honest economists. But then I think there's also economists that are almost hired to, just put out false info. So not only do they not want you to have the info, maybe for the because they don't want competition. They don't put it in schools. They try to get it out of schools because they probably just want you to be an indentured servant. But they also, I think, have false intellectuals that tell you BS. They say, oh yeah, we do this and we gotta keep it this way because if we don't keep it this way, bad stuff's gonna happen. Yeah, no. And they take advantage of people's ignorance, If you know better, they can't do that to you. It's like you bring your car to a mechanic, you know nothing about cars, like, oh, we gotta fix this and we gotta do this and you gotta pay for this and do this. They're gonna take full advantage of you if you're some naive young person who knows nothing about cars. If you know about cars and you hear them try to pull one over your eyes, whatever, pull a fast one on you, you're not gonna fall for it because you understand how the machine works. They can't lie to you. Please, people, learn for your own sake. I hate to see videos where there's people talking about, I'm a single mother with an autistic son, barely getting by. Hate to see those old people at my last job literally just like killing themselves. It's literally slavery. Literally, if they sat down for a second, here goes the manager. Get up, you're getting fired. It's not a whip. It's you're getting fired if you don't do it as I say. Your life will fall apart. It's worse than a whip. A whip's a whip. If they say you're gonna get fired and your life's gonna fall apart, you're like, oh my gosh, that's way more of an incentive. It's worse than slavery. And granted, there is opportunity to do other things, but like I said, not everybody can do certain things. If everybody tried to be millionaires or whatever, do this. And that's another thing, man. The economy is already so, compartmentalized, and certain giant businesses control so much of various markets that there's, no way anybody can compete. There's absolutely no way. So there's even that needs to change. I think we need to move to something where the basics of life are met, like shelter and food, healthcare. That could be like a government thing, government funded program of some sort, and then have I guess a layer of free market capitalism on top. And I say free market capitalism, but I also think that to some degree should be controlled, because if you don't, put regulations on, I guess, toxic waste, you're gonna have crazy stuff happening. You know what I mean? Like, it's Godzilla. You gotta control Godzilla. Tame Godzilla. Make him your pet. I was gonna say another word, but whatever. Your trusty, faithful. Make the economy your slave. Our slave. Tame this economy. Control the incentives. Control it to where it's not destructive, not destroying the planet, where it's working good, where certain people ain't taking full advantage of it. And so we can reshape the whole thing. I think we have the means at this point. We're having all this automation come out, everything, where the basics of life can be met: shelter, food, healthcare, whatever else, like utilities, water, electricity, probably. That can be very basic, and we're almost at this point where people are being phased out of the economy because of automation and stuff. And I think a lot of those things can be made, part of the public sector, and then have all that basic stuff, I guess, maintained and uh, available for people. So there's so many people like living on the streets dying, literally. And we just like sit there. I have a big old intersection right down here. It was Thanksgiving Day the other day. I went to the store early in the morning to grab a couple things. There's a dude like literally on the cold hard concrete with a cardboard box covering it. Like it didn't even cover him. Just cold hard. All these cars going by. I was like, dude, like it's ridiculous, and people just go by like it's nothing. It's like it's ridiculous. The basic necessity of life, we're at a point where it can be, and that's a whole different discussion. But you see where I'm going with it. We could talk about that another time, but it's the general thing. I need people to understand. There's loopholes. The economy's not fair. Okay, these billionaires, they understand. If a general financial education will expose a lot. Not only will you be able to take advantage of them in the meantime, but hopefully eventually everybody learns basic economics and finance and stuff so they can, at some point all say this is stupid and we should change the entire situation. Like I'm hoping, I'm dreaming. You can bring the horse to water, but you can't make him drink. I could tell you to Google how do rich people become rich and start studying, but only a couple people can do that probably. It's just so stupid to see. Just the situation is so messed up. I really wanted to change. I've wanted to change for a long time. I first learned about how the system was messed up before I learned about. I just learned about the banking system and fractional reserve banking. I said, that's fraud. Banks are creating money on the spot and handing it to people, and they can do whatever they want with it. Like what? That's absurd. And there's a lot going on in our world, in our economy, that's very messed up. And a lot of people suffer and even die because of it. All day, people are slaves, dude. People are freaking slaves. They are suffering. They're dying. Their one life that they have to live, we don't know. As far as we know, this is our one life. People are slaves. That's terrible. Billionaires, people who have no sympathy for that, should be ashamed of themselves. Anyway, like I said, I could bring a horse to water. I can't make him drink. I could tell you to Google how do rich people become rich. I could tell you to watch some of my videos and learn the ways that the economy is exploited. Various loopholes in the economy are exploited. I could tell you a lot of things. Suggest all types of things. Can't make you drink though. I could hope though. I could dream that something's gonna change. I might even be able to subtly suggest things without you even knowing. Might be able to just stick little seeds of knowledge here and there, and before you even know it, you're learning it up. Yeah, so that's the type of change I want to see. I'm so sick of just people are literally dying because of this, dude. And another thing, when people are desperate, they resort to crime and stuff. Crime. Oh my gosh, so much to do with that. Everything to do with the economy, dude. So much to do with it. So much to do with it. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm gonna let y'all go. I've been talking for a while, and I don't even know if the audio is good on here, so I'm just hoping it is. Alright. Just learn, man. It has to do with so much stuff. People are literally dying, starving, slaves, wasting your one life. You're wasting your one life that you have, that you could be, just exploring what it means to even exist. You know what I mean? You're wasting it being a slave because of a messed up economic system. Screw that, bro. And honestly, I'll tell you the truth. I'm only gonna try so much because I don't like wasting my time trying to explain. you know, that's why I make videos actually, because I can explain one time and there you go, and it can last, it can be copied and shared. Da, da, da. I don't have to explain this 100 times. I don't like no video one time, boom, share it. There you go. I don't like wasting my time. I'm still exploring what it means to even exist. You know what I mean? I love life. I love, and I feel like so many people are in crappy situations. I kind of think I'm mad that I gotta work crappy jobs sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, what the heck? I'm mad that I've been injured on the job before. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Working some crappy slave labor job. So yeah, man. I just want everybody to have the opportunity to, reach their full potential. Instead of working some slave labor job, maybe you're interested in something else. Maybe you're interested in science or art or something. You can create some new stuff. You want to be an inventor. Who knows? Or maybe you just want to go learn and explore what life is. Like, ultimately, that's great. I think, like, that's, who knows what you'll find out. You'll figure out. You know, I just slaves instead of free, beautiful spiritual beings that are part of this mysterious cosmic anomaly. You know what I'm saying? Like, slaves. That's the best we could do. Like, what? That don't make no sense. Like, I feel like the heavens shine down upon us with glory and beauty and majesty, and for us to just be down here being slaves. I feel like we should be ashamed of ourselves. That's a shameful way to live. The whole thing is shameful. It's ridiculous. We have ambitions as a species to become like spacefaring, this and that, but we still got slaves. Can't even figure that out. That don't make no sense. It's less than what we really are. It's below us. It really is. It's ridiculous. We should respect each other more than what we do. People who do not empathize with the people who are suffering should be ashamed of themselves. We should shame them. We should call them out for their selfish gluttony. We should not just allow that. We should not be accepting of that. You gotta understand the power of social pressure. It has everything to do with business too. If you boycott a company, supply and demand, the public opinion of some company or some person, goes south. Guess what? They probably start doing what you want them to do because their profits depend on it. Stuff like that. Their place in the social hierarchy depends on it. It's their social status, the way they're treated. They like to keep people liking them. So you gotta understand the power of social pressure. We should not accept these billionaires just being so selfish and shameless. It's under us as a species. We have the glorious heaven shining down upon us, and we're gonna be slaves. That's what you think God wants us to do out here? That's what you think? That's what you think God created us for? You are out your mind, yo. Like, we do not have like cosmic perception to be slaves, bro. That's stupid. That's dumb. It's under us as a species. You know what I mean? It's just silly. It's very silly. Anyway, I'm a rantaholic, but I like it. I like ranting about things that I'm passionate about. I'm telling you, man. See, but I can't waste too much time. I bring the horse to water. I can't force anybody to drink. already told myself. I told myself this. I said I'm not gonna be one of those wage slaves. I said I'm either gonna be really, really broke. I'm gonna like live with a minimal budget, whatever, within my means. But I'm not gonna like, be working every single day. I'll make a little bit of money, and I've been thinking about living in a van because it's cheap. You know, I think that might actually be cool. So that's one option. I'm either gonna be super broke like that, live on a super low budget, or I'm gonna work in some type of way that's affords me, or where I'm not gonna have to work 24/7. I just make a lot of money in a short amount of time, whatever, so I can actually afford a decent lifestyle. So those are my two options. I'm not gonna sit there and be a slave. You know what I mean? And I really don't like going without sometimes when I need stuff. I like to eat. I like certain luxuries of life. You know, all the people before us didn't invent things just so we couldn't use them. You know, like that's what I'm saying, dude. The whole thing's messed up. So I'm over it, dude. I'm freaking literally over it. That's below us, dude. I'm telling you. I just wanna get everybody else on track too, you know. So only so much I can do though. So I'm not gonna sit there and like wait forever. So hopefully you're on track. You're getting it. You're feeling it. You don't want to be a slave no more. You look up to the glorious heaven and say, I know this ain't what God meant for us, you know. I know this ain't what God meant for us. Think about that. Think about that. Anyway, I think I'm gonna watch the video now because I didn't even watch it. Let's see. Let's watch the video. I'm out of here. Stay safe, guys. Much love.